Welcome back, chess players, to another episode of Learn to Play Chess Beginner Series by me, Coach Tae. So far we know the pawn, bishop, and rook. Today's episode is going to be about the knight. This one can be a little bit tricky, but we're going to break it down. You start off the game with two knights. It's going to be in between the bishop and the rook. The knight is the only piece that can jump over other pieces. Don't worry, a little practice and you'll get it. So, knights move and capture in an L shape. Two squares and then a left or a right. Let's look at this example. 1, 2, turn. 1, 2, turn. 1, 2, turn. 1, 2, turn. You get the idea. Try to see the L shape. The knight can move to any one of those squares, and they capture where they land. I mentioned that the knight can jump over other pieces, so even if there are pieces surrounding the knight can jump over those pieces. But it doesn't capture the pieces that it jumps over. It only captures where they land. Usually at the beginning of the game, you'll see the knight oftentimes go to c3 or f3. You could put it on a3 or h3, but it's usually not the best to put the knight on the edge of the board. Why? Because they won't have as many squares to attack and move if they're on the edge of the board. If you put them more towards the center like c3 and f3, then they have more squares to jump around, more squares to attack, and more squares to capture. Let's practice attacking and capturing some pieces now. Do you see any captures with the knight? Yep, it can capture the bishop on f6. Good job. Try this one. What can the knight capture in this position? Knight captures rook on d3. Alright, for this problem, find the safe capture. Make sure you look at the entire chessboard and ask yourself before you capture, is it safe? Is anything protecting? And make sure you find the safe one. So we're not going to capture the pawn on d5 because the pawn on c6 is protecting that pawn, and we're going to get our knight captured. Let's capture the bishop on f4. Time to start attacking some pieces now. How do we attack the rook on f7? There's actually two ways to do so. Good job if you found either knight to e5 or knight to g5. For this problem, I want you to attack the rook on b7. There's more than one way. You can go knight to c5 and that will attack the rook, or you can go knight to d6 and this move is actually a little bit stronger than knight to c5. Knight to d6 actually attacks both rooks at the same time. This is called a double attack, and we'll look more in depth about double attacks in another video. Note that the knight can capture the pawn on g7, but then the rook will capture our knight. So it's always important to look at the entire chessboard. That's it for the knight. If you want to learn more, then subscribe. And the next video is on the queen, and I'll see you guys all in the next video.